Now friends, we have learned about is a relationship, has a relationship inherited. So let us discuss when we should use inheritance. Since we can use extends keywords anywhere, we are provided with extends keyword. So should we use it everywhere or anywhere where we think that we should use, or we should use it in a restricted way? So let us discuss about that. That is when we should use inheritance, that is when we should use inheritance and when we should not. So now let us discuss when should we use inheritance. Okay, when we should use inheritance, when to use inheritance. Okay, when to use inheritance. So what should be the condition to use inheritance? So the first condition should be that we should pass a EJ test. EJ test is that here the same example, that is this stag is an animal. So it passes, that is it is logical one. It makes sense that if we say that this stag is an animal because it is an animal. So it is passing the EJ test, that is stag is a animal, so it passes EJ test. So first rule for inheritance is that the classes, that is the object here, that is deer, should pass the inheritance EJ test. So the classes, that is super class and subclass. Here you can say the classes. Let me write it here, classes. And these classes is, that is a super class and a subclass. That is, in case of our stag example, it was subclass was stag and animal was the super class. So the subclass and super class. Okay. Here these classes should pass EJ test, that is stag is a animal, and the reverse is not true. We cannot say that animal is a stag because there are many animals, stag, lion, tiger, there are so many elements, so not all animals are stag. So the reverse is not true. Okay, so we can say that this inheritance is a one direction, that is unidirectional relationship. Okay, that is reverse is not true. If stag is an animal, it doesn't mean that animal is a stag. Okay, so the first example when we should use inheritance, the first condition is that the classes, that is parents and the child classes, should pass EJ test. And what should be the second? What should be the second condition? So suppose if there is a case, if there is a condition when we have to use, there are multiple classes and they share the same code, they need the same code, just like here you can see this is deer. Okay, and here you can say that it is camel. Okay, so these both are animal. So in the previous example where animal was in animal class, we had eat method, sleep method, walk method. So these three methods are common to both these stag class and this camel class. Okay, so we can say that if we need some common behavior for subclasses, that is if there is a need of common behavior for subclasses, then we should go for inheritance. That is, in the case of our camel and stag, we can see that these two animals are having some common behaviors, that is they can sleep, walk, and eat, these three methods every animal does. So these methods can be extended to these classes. That is, here if we have animal class, eat method we have, sleep method we have, and then we have walk method. Okay, so since first, okay, now here we have our camel class, and here we have our stag class. Now camel extends animal and this stag extends camel. So these three methods, these are common behaviors. Okay, so these are common to both this camel and stag. So we can go for inheritance. So before going for inheritance, we should always check these two conditions. These two conditions. First, they should pass each test. Here we can let us apply these two conditions on our this hierarchy. Okay, so let us take for each test. Camel, and we have subclass camel and we have superclass animals. Camel is a animal. Is it? Does it make sense? Does it make sense that if we say that camel is an animal? Yes, it makes. So we can say that camel is a animal. It passes the first condition. Now the same applies for the stag. Stag is an animal, so we can go for inheritance here. Okay, so we can go for inheritance here. When to use inheritance? We can use inheritance because it passes each test and it makes sense. It makes sense. What does this mean about sense? That is, in the previous example of has a relationship, we has a pot and we has a plant. So if we in the code we can use extend keyword, but it doesn't make sense. Then pot extends plant. It is unsensible. It does not make sense. So we should not. So in such type of scenario, we should not go for inheritance. It should make sense. Okay. So here it is making sense, and also we can see that we need common behavior for subclasses. So here subclasses, they need some common behavior, that is eat, sleep, walk. They have these common behaviors and they can specify their own specific methods. Okay, since these are subclasses, they are more specific than this. This is more abstract. Okay, this is more general, more common, and this is more specific. So it can define its own classes. So in such type of scenario, we should use inheritance. So I think now you are clear that which conditions it should pass, and in which conditions while designing inheritance tree, while designing an inheritance tree, when should we go for inheritance? We should go for inheritance by watching these two conditions. That is, the subclass and parent class should be in a easy relationship, and if subclass needs some common behavior, there are multiple subclasses. Suppose here is deer and here is elephant, other animals. Then in that case, we should go for the common behaviors. Okay, so we can use inheritance in such case. Now let us discuss a scenario where we are abusing this inheritance. Means we are not using inheritance in a proper way by seeing these two conditions, that is a test or not. Okay, so let us discuss it, because it is very important to understand why we should follow this trend, why we should use and follow this condition. What happens if we do not follow this? Okay, so it is very important to see the negative side of it. So let us discuss the negative side, that is what happens when we do not use these conditions, when we do not know or we are not aware of these two conditions. Okay, so let's discuss the negative side of that is abusing this inheritance. Okay, so now let us discuss the negative side, that is when we are abusing the inheritance, that is when we are not properly using inheritance. Okay, so suppose here we have a class stag. Okay, and we have another class, that is camel. Okay, now think of the scenario. You have been given a task that a camel should also have make noise method, the same method which is declared here in the stack. Suppose this says that I am making noise. Okay, I am making noise. This make noise method is declared in stack and it has been written by some other developer, that is developer A, and now you are developer B, and you have been told and you have been given task to write this method make noise here. Okay, so what you what you did, you went there, you saw the code and you just noticed that there is a make noise method. Okay, there is a make noise method. So what you did just extends method just for this to use this method make noise method. You extend the whole stack class. Okay, so now run, walk, sleep, these methods are available, but also make noise method is here available. Okay, so you can say that you use the concept of inheritance and you achieved what? Reusability. Okay, you achieved reusability, and you also will say that it saves time. It saves the time. Okay, but think of it. Is it using or it is abusing? What are you doing here? You are saying by extending this stack method for only this method, what you did here, you said that camel is a stack, which is illogical, which does not make sense. So here in this case we can say that we are misusing inheritance. So actually, how should its design be there? Let's talk about its design. How its design should be. Since stack has make noise method, stack needs make noise method, and camel also needs make noise method. These both need make noise method, and we cannot use extends because it does not make sense. That is very important concept, that is, it should make sense because we are dealing with the objects in the real world object and they should make sense. Okay, so here for this make noise, since these both classes camel and stack are using make noise, so we should go for a separate class. That's how designing works. We should think of it that when we should go for is a test and when we should go for other classes. Okay, so we will go for here noise class. Okay, here is noise class, and in this noise class we should define a method that is make noise. Okay, we should define a method make noise, and now this make noise should be used. And how will you use? Here you will have a reference, that is here, let me write it here, that is this method is not now and this method is not here. We will write what? We will have a reference of this noise. Okay, now this reference, this is very important. This noise we can use here, and the same will be used here also in the camel class. Now this noise, okay, we use this noise in camel and noise reference in the stack. Now suppose there is a cat class, that is cat animal, and it also needs this make noise method. So what will it do? It will only have the reference of this noise class, and it can be easily used. So here we are not using is a relationship, we are using has a relationship. This has a relationship. Okay, and it makes proper sense that a camel makes noise, that is it has noise. Stack has a noise, cat has a noise, or we can say sound also. Okay, so now I think you got the concept of when you are using inheritance and when we are not using, that is when we are abusing. So here if you directly extend this, then we are actually not using this, we are misusing the inheritance. Okay, just for one method we are writing extends keywords. There it works, but it is not a proper design. So designing should be proper. Okay, it is not a proper design. So we should focus on the designing. We should think of it how our classes should how our classes are connected and how they should be designed. So that is very important concept which I wanted to tell you in this video. I think you got the concept of when to use inheritance in a proper way. Thank you friends, thank you for being with me. This was all which I wanted to tell you in this video. Thank you.